Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight, Tuesday night, we'll have dua Tawassul, inshallah, first, followed by Majlis for the Shahadat of Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. Salawatu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيدا عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جابر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا يا محمد بن علي تقي الجواد يا رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه إنا وجدنا شخصا وقدمناك بين يدي حاجتنا يا وجيا عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا بر يا رسول الله سيدنا ومولانا وقدمناك بين يدي حاجتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي والأسكين رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجاب أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله حاجات وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو النجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا ساداتي يا الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Iqbal uncle, for the beautiful dua Kumail, dua Tawassul. Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad अलैहिस्सलाम के हवाले से मजलिस करते हैं इंशाल्लाह। अब तमाम की खिदमत पहले मर्सिया के चंद बंद पेश करता हूँ, फिर उसके बाद इंशाल्लाह ہم مولانا سید یاسین قبلہ کی سرفراز ہوں گے محمد وآل محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجہم. ابن الرضا بھی صالح کے راہ رضا رہا، سجادہ رسول پا شغل دغا رہا، ہر رنج میں زبان پا شکر خدا رہا، گنتی کے دوست دار تھے دشمن ہزار، نے اس قمر مرزا تھا ایک چراغ، سینکڑوں جھونکے ہوا کے تھے، لعنت خدا کی موتسم نابکار پر، بیجام چھوڑیے گھر آئیے گھر، در پیش پھر ہو آخر کی بھی خبر، مظلوم کا یہ کوچ وطن سے آخر تھا، مشتاق کنج قبر تھا، ہمراہ ام فضل بھی تھی سے جانے کی تھی خوشبے حساب، اس کا چاہتا سمیں خانما خربغ پہنچ گئے شاہ فلک جناب، توقیر ظاہری تو بات بے وفا نے کی، پر فکر کو سہل جفا نے کی، یہ بے مروتی یہ ستم یہ غضب یہ قہر، وہ بے کسی ایمان کی وہ دور اپنا شر، دیکھے تو اہل دل خار باغ در، انگور رزاقی میں دی کٹے علی ولی کو پکار کے، آزائے آگ سوج گئے دل فگار کے، رونے لگی وہ دیکھ کے حیرت کا حال زار، فرمایا آپ نے ابس ہے تو اشک بار، اس عارضے سے دے گا سزا تجھ کو کردگار، جس کا کوئی علاج نہیں اے جفا یار، دیتی جواب کیا سر ملعون جھک گیا، غم شاہدی کا زہر کے صدموں سے رک گیا، تکلیف پائی چند شب و روز جاں گسل، تاثیر سم سے آگ تھی سینے میں مشتعل، وہ کرب وہ جگر کی حرارت وہ درد دل، ہوتا گیا رسول کا دلدار مزمحل، حاکم نے کی مدد نہ تجھے حبیب نے، آخر سفر کیا سوئے جنت غریب نے، انجام اس طرح سے کتابوں میں ہے رقم، شیعوں نے آپ کو جو سنا یہ نیا ستم، روتے ہوئے گئے سر تسلیم کر کے خم، میت کو بہر غسل اٹھایا بچشم نم، سینوں کو اپنے خستہ جگر پیٹنے لگے، اماں میں پھینک پھینک کے سر پیٹنے لگے، نہلایا اس مسافر دار السلام کو، بھر آئے دل کفن جو پہنایا امام کو، تابوت میں لٹا کے شاہ خاص و عام کو، پرسا دیا علی کو رسول انام کو، نالے طواف کرتے تھے عرش مجید کا، ماتم کیا اٹھا کے جنازہ شہید کا، جس جا تھی قبر مسیح کاظم فلک وقار، پہلو میں اس لحد کے خدا دوسرا مزار، پوشیدہ زیر خاک و نور کردگار، حسرت پکارتی تھی کہ اس شان کے نثار، تاخیر دفن سے بھی شرف آشکار ہے، یہ وارث حسین غریب الدیار ہے، یہ وارث حسین غریب الدیار ہے، ابن الرضا بھی سالی کے راہ ہے رضا رہا۔ درود پڑھ محمد و آل محمد، اللہم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجہم۔ شب بدھ ہے، اس مبارک شب میں آپ تمام سے گزارش ہے کہ 5 مرتبہ میت کی تلاوت کر کے تمام مریض جو دنیا بھر میں ہیں اور جو ظلم کا شکار ہے، اور خاص کر ہمارے ہاشم انکل کی صحت یابی کے لیے 5 مرتبہ میت کا ذکر کرتے ہیں۔ بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، اللہم صل علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، اما المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، أما يجيب 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 المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم. Request everyone to please recite Surah Hamd and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for all the marhumin, your marhumin whose names are inscribed on the monument of Zahra, and for those marhumin for whom there is no to recite Surah Fatiha. Ma ikhlasi wa salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah. And I'd like to request Hujjat al-Islam Maulana Sayyid Hadi Yassin to please address the mu'mineen. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة لأعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Our condolences on the martyrdom, Shahadat of our beloved Imam Muhammad Taqi al-Jawad. First and foremost to Imam of Asr, Imam Zaman, Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wassalam, and to you all mu'mineen and mu'minat. May Allah inshallah let us be among the true followers of our Imam. May Allah inshallah register our names among the Shi'ayan, the true Shia of inshallah Ahlul Bayt, and let us live the life of Ahlul Bayt in this dunya and die with the death of Ahlul Bayt and righteous people in this dunya, inshallah, with the barakat of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alhamdulillah that we have the tawfiq to be among those who they tie their behavior, their personality, their feelings, their moods with Ahlul Bayt. As we always say, the relationship between a Shia and his or her Imam, it's so strong. The bond is so significant and strong that not only we follow them inshallah in action, but also in our moods and feelings we want to follow them. That's why when it's the wiladat, we're happy. When it's the shahadat, we're sad, because we want to follow. And that's significant. That never happened in this dunya, because anyone, even those who have role models in this world, they follow the role models in action, but they don't tie their feelings with the feelings of that role models necessarily. But us, because this model is a Ilahi model, is Ma'navi model, is a spiritual model for us. So therefore, the mood is something that we find through this mood. Through this mood, you find closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we talk about this level of relationship with someone, another human beings, we're not talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're talking about angels, we're talking about another human being. So which we call it an Imam. We call him an Imam, infallible Imam. So we have to have a great understanding of who is that Imam, that we to this level we follow, and we even sometimes in theory and in action, we follow that Imam and we tie our emotions and feelings and everything with that Imam. We see that when it comes to Muharram and Ashura, we leave everything. No wedding party, no ceremony, no birthday party, no happy party, nothing. For 1 or 2 months, it's all canceled. Why? Why is it so important? When it comes to Shahadat of this Imam, Shahadat of that Imam, we see the same thing. We're following the same style. When it comes to the wiladat, if we have a wedding, we said, oh, this is the wiladat, inshallah, this Imam, it's a Mubarak and blessed day. Let's have the wiladat, let's have the birthday, let's have the, wedding party at that day. If I am tying my relationship with Ahlul Bayt to this level and so significant, I have to understand who is that Imam. In fact, in Ziyarat Nama that we recite, that in traditions we recite, in ahadith what we have to recite that says, the one, for example, who visit do the ziyarat of the shrine of this Imam or that Imam, would have the thawab of Hajj, would have the thawab of Jannah, wajaba lahul Jannah, Jannah is wajib for this person, but they have a qaid. They said, arifan bihaqqih sometimes, arif bihaqq, the one who has irfan towards Imam. What does their knowledge and ma'rifah means, this ma'rifah? Is this ma'rifah means that I know who is the Imam, who is the father of Imam, who is the mother of Imam, how old was he? No, not necessarily. This is biographical information. Everybody can have it. When we talk about ma'rifah towards Imam, is who is Imam, the position of Imam, our relationship with that Imam, the significance of the presence of Imam on the earth, the ghaybat of that Imam. What is the difference? At the time of the Shahad, anniversary of the Shahadat of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, Jawad means generous, Jude, which is a title and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who is the most generous. And Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, as we know, among Ahlul Bayt, among, Imam A'imma, each of them, they're ma'ruf and famous of one specific characteristics and personality. كلهم نور واحد, they're all the same. But they have different titles. Imam al-Riza, the father of Imam Jawad, they call him Ra'uf, Imam al-Ra'uf. Very kind. All of them are kind. Specifically Imam al-Riza, Imam Ra'uf, right? Imam Jawad, we call him what? Jawad. This Jawad, this Jude that Imam Jawad salam, there is the ayah Tawassul. Not the ayah Tawassul is one dua Tawassul you just recited. There's another dua Tawassul. Go find it in Mafatihul Janan, another called Dua Tawassul. In that Dua Tawassul, you ask Allah for the sake of each Imam for a specific Hajj. Very important, very interesting. Each of the Imams won one Hajj. When it comes to Imam Jawad, you ask Allah for the sake of the Imam for your Hajat Dunyavi, your worldly Hajat and requests. Very interesting. Imam Jawad, Jude, Bakhshish, forgiving, being generous, specifically said in Hajat of Dunyavi, ask Imam Jawad to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, for the sake of Imam Jawad. To the extent that this Imam, at his presence, they call him Babul Murad, the door of the Murad and wishes. If they had any Hajat, any requests, the door of requests, the door of Hajat that they had, Murad. What you have in your mind, you want it, that's a Murad of you. Whoever had anything in their mind they wanted, they were going to Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. Ma'amun la'natullah alayhi, he asked Imam Jawad for hirz. You know, hirz is a protection, a dua that will protect someone. We have many hirz Amir al-Mu'minin hirz. The most authentic and the most powerful hirz, dua, that will keep the person from jinn and ins and shar and evil is hirz Imam Jawad. You might heard about this. Which Ma'amun asked Imam Jawad, and Imam Jawad gave it to Ma'amun. The enemies. And don't ask why Imam wanted to save him. No. For some reason, some significance, some specific wisdom Imam Jawad knows, he has to give it to him at that moment. We're going to talk about it. Maybe his life, maybe he should be alive at the moment, which is beneficial for Shia, beneficial for Islam. For any reason, Imam is ma'soom. We can't question Imam. But he gave it. And Hirz Jawad is very specific. Hirz that you can, it has a specific recommendation how to write it, at what time you have to write it. It shouldn't be Qamar Dar Aghrab, how to do it. And they usually write it on the skin of animal or something. They put it on their arm for protection. Very, very strong, very authentic. The duration of the imamate of this Imam, with so much generosity and wisdom and hikmah, was only 17 years. He was around 80 years old when he became Imam, and Imam Rida alayhi salatu became Shaheed, and they made him Imam Jawad Shaheed, Mu'tasim Abbasi Mal'un, at the age of 25, from 17 years of life. How short. He was the youngest Imam when he made him Shaheed. And he was the youngest Imam when he became Imam. Subhanallah. We're going to talk about this a little bit. We have three of our Imams, they were young child when they became Imam. Imam Jawad, the first one, Imam Hadi at the age of 7 and 8, Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, Imam Zaman at the age of 5. The life of this Imam, before I go to the details of this personality and then the details of our topic, we see that the history of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, at the age of 8 years old, when Imam Reza alayhi salam passed away, he became Imam. Ma'amun Abbasi, the one who made Imam Reza Shaheed, because the Shia already were so upset with him to make the Imam angry with him, to make the Imam Shaheed, Imam Reza, he was scared that if he does anything to Imam Jawad, then he's going to be, definitely gone. The same thing that happened to Yazid, and he was very careful and very cunning, by the way. So he treated Imam Jawad very nicely, as much as he could, very nicely. And as you heard, he made his daughter Fadl he made it the wife of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, in nikah of Imam Jawad, Fadl, when Imam was probably at a 9-year-old. And then there were some reasons. Number one, for this nikah, which was political nikah, one reason to tell the Shia, you see, my son-in-law is Imam Jawad, so therefore don't do any riot, anything, any issue, any shurish against me, so you have to be quiet. Second, so he will have a spy, jasus, in the house of Imam Jawad. Imam is 8-year-old. Imam is 9-year-old. They were afraid of a child, a 9-year-old child. We need this piece of the puzzle for later on in the discussion, inshallah. I want you to keep in mind. Ma'mun, the Khalifa, how much power, how much army, how much money, how much wealth he has. He's afraid of a 9-year-old. Who is this 9-year-old that he has to think? He made the politics that he wants to control a 9-year-old. This 9-year-old should have a lot of power. That's enemies. They're thinking about it. And at the age of 25, they kill him and make him shaheed, right? Imam Jawad, he knew at that time that his intention is this with this nikah. Imam his knowledge is knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knew what it is. But there are some reason and hikmah behind this, that Imam accepted this nikah. One, to improve the life of Shia, which that happens. Because of that, Shia were in ease. They were not under difficulties and surveillance and supervision. Because Ma'mun, he was like, okay, so Imam Jawad is definitely, he's not going to do, we're supervising him. The Shia had got a better and improved life by him. As a result of that, he was the son-in-law of the Khalifa. He could improve his Shia, the ma'arif of Shia a lot. The same thing that, his father and his ancestors, they did. He had the opportunity to expand the cultural, this religion, the Islam more and more, because no one were telling him why, because he was the son-in-law of Imam, Ma'mun and the Khalifa. Although, so we see that this nikah is a political nikah that Ma'mun wanted. And Imam, he's accepting it for the sake of what? For the sake of Islam and improvement. You see that they're all sacrificing sometimes throughout the history. By the way, Imam doesn't have any child from Fadl, the daughter of Ma'mun Mal'un. He doesn't have any child from it. Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam is not from Fadl, the one who killed Imam Jawad. He's from Thamaniya Maqrabiyah, another wife of the Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, that Imam Hadi was born from this, not from this Mal'una, from the Fadl, that Khabisa, and the father of the daughter of Khabisa Mal'un is not, Imam Jawad didn't have any child from him. So Imam, after the death of, the few years, short time in being in Medina, in Baghdad, the capital of, Islam at that time, that Ma'mun, he transferred it to Baghdad. Imam went to Medina. He was there until around the end of his life, until Mu'tasim. He was afraid of Imam, so he called Imam back to Baghdad, and then he killed Imam at that time. Each of our Imams, they had a specific strategies. They were all connected for one goal and one specific, hadaf and hikmah. We see after the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu wasalam, Imam Sajjad started developing and distributing the network of wakala, the network of muhibbin and Shia, that Imam trusted them so much, and Imam sent them in different regions to take care of the Aitam al Muhammad and Shia. We know that after the Shahadat of Imam Hussein, not too many real Shia were left. The first level and the most sincere Shia were killed in Karbala. Nothing left. The second hand Shia, not as good as the first one in Karbala. The second hand were also killed in Qiyam al-Tawabin and Mukhtar. Gone. There are only few, very little, minor number of Shia were left that Imam Sajjad took advantage of them, although under huge and strong, supervision of that time, that they didn't let the surveillance didn't let him do anything. Imam, he expanded this, and specifically, it continued all the way at the time of Imam Baqir, Imam Sadiq. This network of wakala, vakil. And specifically at the time of, the Imam Jawad, Imam Hadi, and Imam Askari, والسلام, it continues all the way from there. And it shows at that time, by the time of Imam Askari, والسلام, that Ahlul Bayt, they penetrated their authority and muhabbat and knowledge and power were penetrated in different directions and different regions because of this network that they made by the, their divine plan to do this. This became the origin of marja'iyya for us. This became the origin of the time that today we have marja', the wakil of Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam. The wakala of Imam, wakil means the representative, attorney on behalf of the wakil of Imam. Therefore, at that time it started at the time of Imam Sajjad, all the way, you see that continued. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam tells one of his companions, Aban, go sit in the masjid and afte, and do fatwa. Do fatwa, verdict, give verdict to people. Imam Sadiq is still alive. At his time, he's saying, Aban, you go to the masjid, sit down and afte. I would like to see some of my Shia be like you, so knowledgeable. He's still alive. Someone from Qom wrote a letter to Imam Riza alayhi salatu wasalam, said, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I'm too far, Qom and Mashhad, right? Qom and Tus. I can't come for any question to you. And they were, at that time, they didn't have a phone or email or something. Tell me who I can go refer to if I have a question. Imam Riza wrote to him, says, go to Zakaria ibn Adam. And his grave is in Qom as well. Go visit him. He was the wakil of Imam Riza, wakil of Imam Jawad, wakil of Imam Hadi. We see that happens at the time of who? At the time of Ahlul Bayt themselves. You see the plan. It's not accidentally. It's not randomly. No, because they know they have to prepare Shia for the time of Qayb. They know there will be the time that Shia will be suffering from occultation of Imam al-Ma'soom. They have to be ready. They have to go to their affairs, Islamic and religious affairs, to someone, the Na'ib of Imam, the Vakil of Imam, representative of Imam, to take care of their affairs and Islamic affairs. This process, you see that then the enemies, they thought they're destroying Ahlul Bayt, destroying their names, but Imams thinking with the hikmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and distributing the ma'arif of Islam and Ahlul Bayt. وَمَكَرُوا مَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. The enemies wanted to do makr and deceive, and by the evil plans to destroy Ahlul Bayt and remove the names, as Muawiyah said, I want to remove the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the ma'zana, from the azan. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated this name. The same way that Ahlul Bayt, they were, developing the Shia and the situation at that time, where Shia were also under difficulties and under test all the time. All the way from at the time of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right after the demise, Shia, Rasulullah started talking about Shia. We have the hadith in the books of Ahlul Sunnah that Rasulullah look at Amir al-Mu'minin and says, Anta wa shi'atuka faizun. You and your Shia, you and your follower. The first one who used the term Shia were Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no one else. So Rasulullah said himself to Amir, right after that time, the Shia, which should be the majority of people, who follow Rasulullah, although not too many, they follow Rasulullah. At the time of Imam Hasan, the Shia were tested. At the time of Imam Hasan were tested. At the time of all the way to Imam Jawad. The test of Shia at the time of Imam Jawad was to accept the imamat of a child, 8-year-old one, 7-year-old one. It's difficult. It's tough. This is the ma'rifat of Imam. Think about it right now. You're waiting for Imam Zaman, for example, right? You're waiting for Imam Zaman. And they said Imam Zaman came and he's 8-year-old. What do you say? MashaAllah, we have 80 years old, 90-year-old, we have 60 years old. Very successful, MashaAllah. The CEO of here, the businessman of over there, MashaAllah. Would you ready to accept and submit yourself to Imam who is 80-year-old? Look at the 80 years old right now in the society, in the community. What are you doing? Playing her. Are you ready to submit? Do you have this much ma'rifah towards the Imam? Self-reflection here, right? And again, why 80-year-old? Because the maqam of imamat is continuing of maqam of continuation of maqam of nubuwwah. If this is the position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He chose someone to be Imam, someone to be the Nabi, doesn't matter if it's 1 year old, 1 day old, if it's 100 years old. The knowledge is divine. The knowledge is not something you go to school to learn. Someone asked Imam Ridha alayhi salatu wasalam, who's the Imam after you? Imam says, Abu Ja'far, 6, 7 year old at that time. The guy was surprised. Imam says, are you surprised? Isa ya Nabi, Jesus, he was few days old when he started talking in the cradle. Qul atani al-kitab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the kitab. And I'm the Nabi. He started talking about what? Few days old. He talks about what? I'm the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He became Nabi when he was in cradle. He became Nabi when he is a baby. Imam said, is this more difficult? Is more surprising? Or Abu Ja'far be 6, 7 year olds to become Imam? Of course, Isa is more surprising that a baby can talk. Which one is more surprising? Doesn't it have hikmah? We talk about this, we know about this. But the intellectual reason behind this, I want you to know that the beginning of the life of insan is not at the birth. No. It's a mistake. Some people think that the beginning of our life is with birth. No. According to our traditions, we have many awalim and worlds. We pass until we come to alam ad-dunya and this world. The alam and the world before the alam ad-dunya, for us, what is it? Alam rahim. They call it alam rahim, the womb. This is another alam. This is another world for the baby. We don't know what's going on over there at that time. We have a lot of traditions. The angels come, how they treat the baby, blah, 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 all these things. How the ruh comes to the body of the baby, to the janeen, what happens, all these things, The same way that the end of life of human beings, some naive people think the end of the life, the death is the end of the life of someone. No. The way that the end of the death is not the end of our life, birth is not the beginning of our life. No, we had many other awalim, according to our traditions, that insan goes through that, the awalim, past those awalim to come. One of them is alam az-zar. You heard about this, right? That all human beings, all together, were at the same place at the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah asked them, this is in Quran, Alastu barabbikum? I'm your Rabb or not? Qalu bala. They all testified that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Rabb in alam az-zar. Anyway, but we don't see it, we can't feel it. Why? Because imagine if you put one drop of water on an ant, small ant. The ant thinks that the whole world is flooded. Why? Because it's all flooded, because I can see it's all water. Not knowing that it's just a small drop of water. That's why insan has the Sayyid nuzuli, comes from up, down, and then goes up again. Insan, the ruh and the soul belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, comes to this dunya. Dunya means the lower one, past dani, and then inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun, goes up and again, high. Comes to this dunya, dani, dunya, lower, and then goes higher, back to where it belongs to go. The capacities will be built at that time. The awalim and the worlds before this alam. The capacities. According to our traditions, Ali Asghar, Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salatu wasalam, he is 6 months old. He's actually the most powerful reason for the hujjat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Hujjat Kubra for Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Because they can say Hussein came and fought with us for the sake of dunya here. Ashab of Hussein came for the sake of dunya. The children of Hussein came for the sake of dunya. No one can say, why did you kill the 6-month-old baby? The same thing that Muhsin ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, the son of Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the womb of Hazrat Zahra alayha, he is the hujjat as well. Why did you kill Muhsin of Imam Ali alayhi salam? This 6-month-old baby Ali Asghar, who is the hujjat of Allah, in this dunya he is 6 months old. You ask him, he's Babul Hawa'ij, the daughter of Hawa'ij, did you ask him to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your hajat? A 6-month-old baby. Apparently, according to this dunya, he's 6 months old. God knows in the awalim before how old he is. He's older than anyone else in this dunya, older than Anbiya. Isa, one day, a few days old, few weeks old, whatever it is, that he became a prophet. Apparently, he's few days old. In awalim and the worlds before, he is older than anyone else. Imam Jawad, apparently by this dunyavi life, is 8 years old when he became Imam. Before that, God knows the awalim that Ahlul Bayt were through it, Khilqat Nuri, and all those things that he is actually, go through the path more important than the path of Anbiya. That's how the Shia were tested at that time, to see the ma'rifat of Imam. That's why we see that the first one is Imam Jawad. That's why Imam Raza says there is no blessed birth in the history of Shia, more blessings than the birth of Imam Jawad. Why? يفرق بين الحق والباطل. Because of him, بين حق and batil were distinguished. Why? Because some people like 7 Imamis, Waqifiyah, they said Imam Rida, he's not the Imam. Why? Because he doesn't have a son. Because Imam Jawad was 47-year-old when he had Imam Jawad. All the way until 47, he didn't have a son, right? So people were thinking about this. How is it even possible? So therefore, we see that this happened, and all the way that Shia were tested with heavy test through this path, the path of Ahlul Bayt. Again, the heavy test, brothers and sisters, are not the Salat and the Hajj. And no, the heavy test is test by accepting the maqam of imamat of Ahlul Bayt, the maqam of imamat of Imam, which is the most difficult one. Sometimes accepting the Imam who is 7, 8-year-old, or accepting an imamat to go to war in Qurbat with Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, or accepting the sulh and the peace that the treaty that Imam Hasan made while he had a lot of companion around him. The submission, this iradat, this being all submitted to Imam and maqam of imamat is the most important thing. This is what Shia should practice, inshallah, until have the tawfiq to have Imam al-Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam back in the society. Imam al-Jawad, when he came from Medina to Baghdad, he had all his family and his son and everyone left in Medina. He came with Fazl Mal'una into Baghdad. When Fazl, he poisoned Imam al-Jawad. They said Imam Jawad, he was all alone in his hujra, in his room. He was having a pain and telling and asking people to bring water for him because it feels like a fire inside the belly and the liver of Imam. How this poison was, hurting Imam. And she, Mal'una, did not let anyone enter the room. One of the Kanis said, I heard the voice of Imam Jawad. I want to bring some water for Imam Jawad. Fazl Mal'una didn't let me bring it. So Imam Jawad all alone in that room. He was hurting and he was shouting and asking for help. No one came. Oh, how he felt Imam Jawad at that moment. Qareeb, away from his family. How he felt at that time. But let me tell you what. After the Shahadat of Imam Jawad, Shia came. They brought a lot of flour around the body of Imam Jawad, that they called that region Sawq al-Rayahin, the area of the flowers. Imam Jawad, you're so similar, your Shahadat, to Imam Hasan alayhi salatu wassalam. Although Imam Hasan, he had Hussein next to him, Zainab salamullah alayhim, Abul Fadl Abbas crying for Imam Hasan, but Jawadul A'im all alone in his room, no one to help him and support him. And even this wife Mal'una, she is against Imam Jawad. But let me tell you, Imam Jawad, that reminds us of La Yawm Ka Yawmaka Ya Abu Abdullah, of Imam Hussein in Karbala all alone when he asked for a water for his 6-month-old baby Ali Asghar, and Harmala responded back with an arrow, 3-headed arrow, to the small neck of Ali Asghar. Imam Jawad, Although you were qareeb and they made you shaheed. After your shahada, Shia respected you. They brought a lot of flour over your body. But to the body of Hussein, when Zainab came to say salam to the body without beheaded body of Hussein, she had to put away the spears, the swords, the stones until she saw the beautiful, holy body of Hussein. She found it. Hussein, who did this to you? Hussein, what happened to your head, Hussein? Assalamu alaikum ya ahl bayt al-nubuwwa wa mawzi' al-risala. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Inshallah, bring your hajat in your mind together. Inshallah, we recite السلام عليك يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا. The night of Dua Tawassul. إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يداي حاجاتنا. All together, bring your hajat in your mind. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. At the time of azan, at the time of istijabat dua, inshallah, your hajat in your mind. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والناس ومد في أمره الشريف وزين الأرض بطول بقائه. اجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته يا رحمن يا رحيم ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, بحق الحسين, hasten in the dhuhr of our Imam Mahdi. Let us be among the true followers of our Imam. Ya Allah, help our youth, make them successful in dunya wal akhirah. Remove obstacles towards their marriage. بحق Imam Jawad, give all khair hajat of our brothers and sisters in our community. Remove these conditions, this bala and this waba and fitna from our world, Ya Allah. Let us get back to our masajid and majalis, inshallah. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, those who are sick for the sake of Imam Jawad at this moment, cure them. Our brother Hashim in the hospital, specifically we pray for him. Ya Allah, those who passed away at this moment for the sake of Imam Jawad, send the thawab and a ruh from our majalis and majlis to their soul, inshallah. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.